Welcome back to another Riz on my podcast. Well, it's been a little bit since I've been on here. Happy belated 4th of July to everybody out there. As I sit here today, I am watching the top of the ninth versus the Reds. Cubs are down 5-7. But before I even touch this game, which is probably meaningless in the big scheme of things, I just want to talk a little bit about Bryant again. Was maybe a week or so ago. He had his monster game. He hasn't really slowed down. He hit another home run today, which I think makes his major league leading 25th. And on the previous podcast, in which I spoke about him exclusively, I mentioned how he's in the conversation for National League MVP. Well, maybe I misspoke and underestimated what he could do, because he's continued to tear it up at such a rate. He may have gone, for me at least, from in the conversation to NL MVP favorite. He now leads the NL in WAR. WAR isn't the end-all be-all, but it's a nice little round number you could look at to try and estimate a player's value. And he's been absolutely carrying this team, which lately has only been to victories against the Reds. But he might be the favorite. Now, more on Bryant, and this is the bad side of why I brought up Bryant, was the injury scare yesterday. Fly ball to left field, he collides with Almora, and he hits the ground. And initially it didn't look like much, but when you saw the replay, you could see where Bryant's knee got hit by Almora's leg. And of course, instantly, I feared the worst. I was like, here we go. I mentioned in previous podcasts that all these injuries, have sucked, of course, because, you're challenging the depth of the ball club. But at least it hasn't been Bryant, Rizzo, Arrieta, Lester, But I said, if that happens, then we're probably fucked, obviously. And a lot of people like to say, why are you so pessimistic? Well, don't be that Cubs fan. Don't be a Cubs fan about, bad luck. I'm like, how the fuck shouldn't I and other Cubs fans fear the worst? Because guess what? The worst has usually happened. Fortunately, the worst did not happen. Bryant actually finished the inning, but then he was pinch hit for in the bottom of that inning, which of course brought more speculation. But it turns out he just got a little bone contusion, which is basically a bruise. And he's right back in the lineup today. And as I said earlier, he already went yard, so he's fine. But can we put to rest playing Bryant in the outfield? I'm over it. I was over it before yesterday, so this is not just a knee-jerk reaction. I was pretty much over putting anyone of value in the outfield that doesn't play there normally after the Schwarber season-ending injury. So since Game 3, I feared this. Just because you're putting more risk when you're out there running around the outfield, obviously. I mean, what are the chances you collide with one of your teammates in the infield? Not nearly as high. And when Bryant played the outfield a couple times last year, I thought the same thing. I'm like, he's doing a pretty good job. He's playing adequate defense. But fuck me. And Bruce just put this game out of reach. Fucking 2-run home run. Now the Cubs, I think I said 5-7. Yeah, it's 5-9 now. So Pedro Strop, in his usual fucking self, is dominant for a stretch. But when he gives it up fucking big. So a 2-run homer, and this game is fucking pretty much over. And okay, it's not the end of the world, as I said earlier, but holy shit. This lackadaisical horseshit play lately is pissing me off. I understand that entering today, the fucking Cubs were 10-1 against the Reds this season. So odds are the Reds are going to win another one. I mean, holy shit, they're not going to go 18-1 against the Reds. But good God. Come on now. 9-5, you're losing? Jesus Christ. And sorry, I went off on a little tangent here. It's just I'm getting tired of this fucking shit of the blow-ups, you know? This is why, like, Theo, stop fucking around with Joel Peralta experiment and guys like that. Go out and get a fucking reliever. I'm fucking over it. You know? It was fine for the first half of the year, but guess what? Anyone that had a brain knew regression was coming. And I realize there's about a month until the deadline, but let's please stop this throwing out Travis Wood, fucking Joel Peralta, and shit like that. Go get a dominant reliever. I know you don't want to get rid of Schwarber and Contreras. That's fine. Use any other pieces that you have. Go get a dominant reliever. Strop, as good as he can be in stretches, I don't trust him in the playoffs. So let's stop the fucking monkey business. All right? I'm sure you're on the phones. You're not listening to me, obviously. I mean, hardly anyone is. But good God, the pitching has finally come back to the pack. It was historically good for like 2.5 months, maybe. And now it's kind of, okay, now they're having some ups and downs. It's not every single start is a quality start and, guys going 7 innings, allowing 1 run. No, those days are done. Now it's a little bit more of the, okay, starters are going to have ups and downs. You're not going to have 5 guys with an ERA over 3 forever. So, all right, let me go ahead and wrap this up. I went off a tangent here because that pissed me off. You're watching a game, right? Your team is losing late in the game, like this, the 9th. But you still hold on to a shred of hope because the Cubs or your team is down just 2. Like, okay, we get a base runner, a bloop, and then a blast. And holy shit, it's tied. But now when you just fucking serve up a fucking home run, like, good God. And the fact that it's Strop annoys me more because when he gives it up, he gives it up. He doesn't get singled to death. He gets fucking tattooed. All right. I'm done. Got me going over a fucking stupid-ass game at the beginning of July, but I'm a little bit revved up right now. You can't sweep the Reds every time, I guess, but Jesus Christ, guys, let's get to the All-Star break. And when you come out of the All-Star break, please, Fowler, that's all I got to say. He's the straw that stirs the drink, as I said in a previous podcast. And he's the guy that can get this offense back on track on a consistent basis and get guys in the right defensive positions. And then after that, let's fucking go. Let's pick up a guy and let's fuck people up. All right, I'm out. Thanks for listening to another Riz on my podcast.